Have you ever felt drawn to the darkness, not as something to fear, but as a place of deep power and transformation? In this video, we dive into the forgotten mysteries of Hecate, the ancient goddess of the Crossroads, the moon, and the shadow. She is the protector of witches, the guide of souls, and the embodiment of the dark feminine, the part of you that's wild, wise, and unapologetically powerful. If you've ever felt misunderstood, if you've ever stood on the edge of change, this journey is for you. We'll explore ancient myths, shadow work, and how to embrace the parts of yourself you were taught to hide. But before we begin, I want to know something. Comment below the name of your city. Tell me where in the world you're watching this from. Let's see how far the power of Hecate can reach. Long before the rise of the Olympian gods, when myths were still woven with the sacred threads of the earth, Hecate walked between worlds. She didn't belong to Zeus's order or the patriarchal pantheon that came to dominate classical mythology. Her roots trace back to a time when magic, nature, and the feminine were one. Hecate was the guardian of Crossroads, places where worlds meet and fate unfolds. Closely tied to the moon and the unseen, she represented the space between what is and what might be. She was honored as a triple goddess, ruler of the heavens, the earth, and the underworld. Her power was vast, ancient, and deeply rooted in the primal forces of existence. Unlike many later deities, Hecate didn't embody a single aspect of life. She embodied the totality. She was the full moon's glow and the darkness of an eclipse, the protector of newborns and the guide of the dead. People turned to her in healing rituals, but also in acts of divination, spellwork, and necromancy. The ancients viewed her as a vital link between the world of the living and the realm beyond. With symbolic keys at her waist, she unlocked doorways to hidden realms. That's why she was so often honored at Crossroads, those charged places where transformation begins. Her image stood as a reminder that choices always carry consequences. Hecate's connection to the moon wasn't just poetic, it was ritualistic and deeply spiritual. With each lunar phase, her energy shifted, revealing a different face of her divine nature. During the new moon, she was the guide in the darkness. In the full moon, she was the sorceress in full power. As the moon waned, she became the bringer of endings and rebirth. Holding torches in both hands, she lit the way for those brave enough to explore the unknown. To her followers, she was a guardian of hidden knowledge, a keeper of sacred thresholds. And to invoke her was to commit to deep transformation, whether welcome or not. Hecate wasn't feared because she was evil. She was feared because she was honest. Her power came from the places society avoided, the unknown, the wild, the unspoken. She stood for instinct, for the untamed feminine, for that which cannot be controlled. While many goddesses were softened or rewritten through the lens of patriarchy, Hecate remained raw and whole. She represented the woman who doesn't kneel, the force that doesn't ask permission. To honor her is to embrace the wisdom in chaos, the beauty in darkness, and the truth in what we dare not face. And that's where our journey begins, with a goddess who never disappeared but now rises again as a symbol of truth, power, and inner transformation. Hecate holds a unique position among the ancient deities. She is the protector of those who live on the edges. Witches, herbalists, seers, and mystics have long called upon her name in times of need and transformation. In a world that feared magic and shunned those who walked a different path, Hecate offered sanctuary. Her energy wasn't gentle. It was fierce, loyal, and unshakable. To the outcasts, the misunderstood, and the spiritually brave, she was not just a goddess, she was an ally. Those who dared to wield power from within, rather than follow the rules of the masses, found her presence at their side. She was the keeper of ancient wisdom that could heal or curse, bless or destroy. As the patroness of witches, Hecate governed over herbs, spells, and rituals passed down in secret. She was often invoked at night, in secluded groves or quiet rooms lit by candlelight. Practitioners believed she granted not just power, but discernment, guidance in knowing when to act and when to wait. In many traditions, she is seen holding two torches or accompanied by hounds, symbols of her role as a guide and a fierce protector. Her presence in ritual spaces invites deep transformation, but only for those ready to confront the truth. She offers no illusions, no shortcuts, only the path through the shadows. And those who take that path are never the same again. Healers too have turned to Hecate, not only for her magical knowledge, but for her connection to the threshold between life and death. She understands illness and recovery, pain and release, because she walks in all realms. Whether it's physical, emotional, or spiritual healing, Hecate's power lies in the roots of the earth and the depths of the psyche. She teaches that true healing begins by facing what we fear, acknowledging what we've hidden. Her magic is not surface level. It digs deep, unearthing what's been buried and calling it into the light. In this way, she protects not just bodies, but souls, helping us become whole again through honest confrontation. Those who walk the path of darkness, whether by choice or circumstance, find in Hecate a kindred spirit. She does not judge, she witnesses. She does not fix, she empowers. Her domain is not about good or evil, but about truth and transformation. She understands grief, rage, uncertainty, and longing. She walks with those who feel invisible, guiding them to see their own light in the dark. In a world obsessed with appearances, Hecate reminds us that real power comes from within, forged in the fires of struggle and shaped in silence. And for every soul brave enough to follow her, she becomes both sword and shield, protector of the sacred path less traveled. Hecate's relationship with the underworld is one of the most profound and mysterious aspects of her mythology. While many gods were given dominion over a single realm, Hecate moved freely between them all. She was as comfortable in the world of the living as she was among the dead. Unlike Hades, who ruled from a throne, Hecate wandered. She carried her torches through forgotten places, guiding souls not only after death, but through moments of spiritual rebirth. She did not demand worship out of fear, but offered presence in times of crisis, especially when life as we know it begins to unravel. Her underworld was not just a place of endings, it was a place of deep transformation. In many ancient rites, Hecate was invoked at the moment of death, standing as a psychopomp, one who guides souls to the other side. Yet she was not limited to funeral rites or ancestral work. Her presence was called upon during times of loss, despair, and spiritual disorientation, those dark nights of the soul. In such moments, she held the lantern that revealed our inner landscape. She reminds us that death is not just physical, it's also symbolic. The ending of a relationship, the collapse of an identity, the loss of a dream, these are all underworld journeys. Hecate walks with us through them, ensuring we emerge wiser, even if we are not unchanged. Her triple form, maiden, mother, and crone, reflects her sovereignty over the full cycle of life, death, and rebirth. She is not just the old woman waiting in the shadows, she is the young girl at the start of the road and the nurturing guide in the middle of the journey. This makes her both timeless and always relevant. She reminds us that to fear death is to fear change, and to avoid change is to remain stuck. Hecate's wisdom lies in embracing the cycle, surrendering to it, and trusting that the descent into darkness is not the end, but a passage. Her torches are symbols of that light, the one we carry within when all other lights go out. To work with Hecate is to accept that life is filled with liminal moments, those thresholds where we must choose whether to stay in the known or venture into the unknown. The underworld is not a place we visit only once. It is a place we return to again and again as we evolve. Each time, Hecate meets us there, not to rescue us, but to remind us of our power to navigate. In her presence, we learn that endings are not failures. They are initiations. Death in all its forms clears the path for something more honest, more aligned, more alive. And with Hecate at our side, we learn not to fear the dark, but to walk through it with purpose. Hecate is not just a goddess of death or magic. She is an archetype of the shadow itself. In Jungian terms, the shadow represents the unconscious parts of ourselves that we hide, deny, or fear. Hecate doesn't reject these parts. She rules over them. She appears at the crossroads of our psyche where the comfortable meets the unknown. Her presence is unsettling because she demands honesty. She asks us to look at the parts of ourselves we've abandoned, the rage, the longing, the wildness, the pain. And when we do, she offers transformation, not through denial but through radical self-acceptance. Her archetype is powerful because it is whole. Hecate is not light pretending to be good. She is the full spectrum of experience. In her we see the fierce mother, the cunning witch, the wise elder and the wild girl. She does not shrink from discomfort, but uses it as a tool to awaken us. Her guidance does not come with sweet words, but with symbols, dreams, silence, and confrontation. She shows up when we are lost, not to lead us back to what we were, but to show us what we must become. Her magic is not to fix us, it is to initiate us. Through her, we are called to step into our deepest truths. As a source of wisdom, Hecate teaches that not all knowledge is comfortable. Some truths feel like fire, others feel like stone, but all have value. She whispers that wisdom is not found only in books or temples. It lives in our pain, our joy, our mistakes, and our silence. She teaches through cycles. By losing, we learn to let go. By descending, we learn to rise. And in those moments when we feel most broken, she reminds us we are being reformed. Her presence brings not just clarity, but change. And change, real change, is never gentle. It is disruptive, sacred, and necessary. As a force of transformation, Hecate is not here to comfort us into staying the same. She is here to break the illusions we hold onto so tightly. She is the voice that says, "This version of you must die so that the truth can live." Her role is to push us across thresholds we never thought we could cross, and in doing so, she reveals our power, not the power given by others, but the one that rises when we embrace who we truly are. She teaches that darkness is not the opposite of light, it is the womb where the light is born. With Hecate, we do not run from the shadows, we become the ones who walk in them with our eyes wide open. For centuries, the feminine has been divided into two halves, the nurturing, passive light and the dangerous, seductive dark. But Hecate challenges this split. She is the embodiment of the full feminine spectrum, wild, wise, untamed, and unapologetic. The aspects of womanhood that have been suppressed, rage, power, intuition, sensuality, mystery, are the very qualities she honors. In patriarchal systems, these traits were demonized because they couldn't be controlled. Hecate stands as a reminder that what society calls too much is often our greatest strength. She is not here to be pleasing, she is here to be powerful. The dark feminine is not evil, it is essential. It is the force that births revolutions, breaks cycles, and demands truth. Hecate embodies this force in its purest form. She does not seek permission, she does not apologize, she does not make herself smaller for anyone's comfort. This is the version of the feminine that exists beyond approval or labels. It is the feminine that knows itself, its depths, desires, and boundaries. To walk with Hecate is to reclaim what has been called inappropriate, ugly, or dangerous, and to see it as sacred. It is to stop asking for permission to exist in your wholeness. In her image, we see what it means to be both gentle and fierce, both nurturing and wild. The dark feminine teaches that growth is not always soft. Sometimes it burns. It asks us to bleed, to howl, to stand alone, and to speak truths others fear to hear. Hecate does not offer comfort for the sake of silence. She offers discomfort that leads to awakening. Her feminine power isn't passive. It's the fire under the cauldron, the storm before the calm, and through her we remember that to be truly whole, we must embrace not only our light, but the shadows we carry inside. To honor the dark feminine is to unlearn centuries of shame. It is to look in the mirror and say, "I am not broken, I am complex, I am not too much, I am powerful." Hecate invites us to be wild again, to trust our instincts, to say no when needed, and to live with depth. She reminds us that the feminine is not only soft and loving, it is also sovereign, mysterious, and transformative. Her magic is not about fitting in, it is about standing out, standing firm, and standing true. Through Hecate, we don't just remember the dark feminine, we become it. To walk with Hecate is not just to study her myths, it is to live her truth. That begins by turning inward, toward the parts of ourselves we've ignored, rejected, or hidden. Shadow work is the sacred practice of meeting your inner darkness with compassion. It is the process of uncovering what you've been taught to fear about yourself and discovering the wisdom buried there. Hecate invites us to do this work not from a place of shame, but from a place of courage. She reminds us that we are not broken for having shadows. We are human, and when we face those shadows, we stop being controlled by them. Connecting with the dark feminine in daily life doesn't require rituals under the full moon, though those can be powerful. It can begin with simple acts of self-reflection, journaling your anger instead of suppressing it, allowing your grief to speak instead of numbing it, saying no without guilt. The dark feminine is present when we choose ourselves without apology. When we set boundaries, when we stop shrinking, Hecate's energy lives in every moment we choose honesty over performance, truth over comfort, power over passivity. Her altar is within you, and you carry it every time you honor your full self. Embracing your shadow doesn't mean becoming dark, it means becoming whole. The parts you've labeled as unworthy are often your deepest gifts in disguise. Your rage may be your compass, your fear may be your teacher, your silence may be your womb of creation. Hecate teaches that the only way out is through, the only way to grow is to descend, listen and return with what you've learned. This is the journey of the witch, the healer, the seeker. And it's one of the most radical forms of empowerment, reclaiming the parts of yourself the world told you to abandon. So light a candle, stand at your own crossroads, ask yourself what you've been afraid to face, and then face it. Hecate will not walk the path for you, but she will light the way. She is the voice that whispers, "You are ready." The shadow is not your enemy, it is your initiation. And when you stop fearing the dark, you begin to understand that it is not emptiness, it is potential. Within the silence, the ache, the unknown, lies your true power. Walk it, claim it, become it. With Hecate at your side, you are never alone in the dark. Hecate doesn't promise comfort, she offers truth. In a world that often fears the dark, she teaches us to walk through it with our eyes open, to reclaim what we've lost, and to rise stronger than before. Whether you're at a crossroads in your life, seeking healing, or ready to face your shadow, remember, you're not alone. The path of the dark feminine is one of courage, depth, and radical self-acceptance. So, take what you've learned here today and begin your own journey. Because your shadow isn't your weakness, it's your power. And if this message spoke to you, don't forget to leave a comment with the name of your city. Let's keep mapping how far Hecate's light can travel through the darkness.